Welcome to Leadership CEOs. You are here because you were made for more. Be a CEO, a creator of expansive opportunities. My name is Michelle Shutter, and I have a simple question for you today. How will you lead your ship? Because without a doubt, you were made for more, period. Fly your ship and let's get started. Welcome back to Leadership CEOs. I am so excited that you are here for this episode because we are going to dive into how you are disrupting your balance. And you might think, oh my gosh, here she goes again. But guess what? Stick around because this one is really powerful. They all are powerful, but when you really begin to understand this, it will be a game changer for you. So I'm so excited that you are ready to step into that CEO role, be a creator of expansive opportunities, CEO. I can't wait to see what is in store for you. Now, before I hop into this whole piece of balance, right, we think our life has to be, everything has to be equal or pretty close. Well, essentially, you have to do what works for you, but there are ways that we totally disrupt our balance, and that's what I want to share with you. Now, before I get into that, if you haven't seen one of my videos or if you haven't heard a podcast before, I just want to do a quick introduction. My name is Michelle Shutter, and I love to support heart-centered women just like you in really challenging the modern conditioned style of life. You know what I'm talking about, all those beliefs that we've had for so many years, they're really not serving us. And let's start challenging that so that you can really take any size vision that you have and create expansive opportunities in all areas of your life. Because deep within your soul, you know that you were made for more, period. And I'm so thrilled that you are here today taking this in, how you are disrupting the flow of your balance. Because if you can move beyond some of this, you're going to see changes in all areas of your life. So let's talk a little bit about the definition of balance. How do you define balance? When we think of balance, we think of, the balance scale, right? And everything should be pretty much aligned. Well, balance is going to mean different things to different people. And balance is going to happen in different areas of life. And for the sake of explaining balance, many people use the work-life balance. And I truly believe that is so disproportionate to begin with, because within life is your work. It isn't work and life. You have life and work comes under that umbrella. So to say it's a work-life balance, perhaps we need to look at this a little bit differently. So think about all the things that come under that umbrella of life. You've got work, you've got family, you've got friends, maybe you've got a business, your home, finances, fun, spirituality, self, your health, relationships, recreation. There's a whole bunch of stuff that can fall under that umbrella of life. So why do we not say, the fun life balance? Why is it work-life balance? I truly believe that we can have it all as women. We don't have to limit ourselves in some way, but that's going to take some time in challenging that modern conditioned style of life. So if you're with me, we are going to dive into this. So actually what I've done in terms for me, and maybe this will resonate with you, is that I've really broken life into 5 categories. I put it into health, relationships, financial, recreation, and spirituality. So everything that I mentioned before, from family to friends to relationships, recreation, finances, business, work, all of that can fall into one of those categories. And for me, it works best when I have all of those aligned in some way that really speaks to my heart. Not aligned with my head, with my ego that is really likes to take me out of the game. So for some of you, it is that point too where you need to step back and really look at, okay, what is in my life that I want balance in, and what speaks to me from the heart in that rather than the analytical piece. Now, for a long time, like I lived in that whole place of the imperfect balance. And the imperfect balance, again, served me perhaps short term, but it didn't serve me long term. And I understood it like intellectually, but this is what happened. I'd have to push through stress. I would never say no. There were no boundaries. It was like work harder, be in a constant state of overwhelm, put everybody first, take on their pain. And what I realized, what I'm going to dive into deeper here, is that that was really a wounded state for me. That imperfect balance was really about being wounded. And that state, while again, like there's a duality, there's a divine state and a wounded state, there's a duality. There's so much to be learned in every single state. But at that time, I didn't have the awareness, I didn't have the consciousness to really pick something different. So I want to share a little bit more about that with you so that you get that. Now, under the categories that I shared with you, the health, the relationships, the finance, the recreation, the spirituality, we really have to look at starting at the bullseye, at the center of the target, and we want to have more of a fluid, a flowing state of balance in between them rather than this rigid of they all have to be equal all at the same time. Because when we want it so rigid, that's where we begin to fall into the states of stress and our actions or inactions. And that whole state doesn't serve us. So when we can approach balance from more of a fluid, flowing state, it really serves you at a higher level. So what are these two states that I'm talking about? What are these two stages? Well, it's all about energy. And there's 7 levels of energy that I teach, but also you can break energy down into 2 stages. Okay, you have a feminine energy and a masculine energy. It's like the yin is feminine, the yang is masculine. It's the duality, right? It's the flow between the two. Now, even though they're called masculine and feminine energies, there's really no gender. There's no gender around it. It's just an energy. It's how we show up. And it doesn't matter if you're male or female, you have both energies. Some people are more dominant in the feminine energy. Some people are more dominant in the masculine energy. It doesn't matter, but you have to know that you have both energies. And the problem is we don't necessarily tap into both energies to have that fluidity, to have that flow between them. And so when we're so wound up in one of the energies, it's really a sign that, oh my gosh, I need to experience the opposite energy to bring me back into balance. So I'm going to go through kind of what some characteristics of what this looks like, and we're going to talk about the divine energy for both feminine and masculine, and then the wounded energy from both feminine and masculine. And I really want you to sink into what resonates most with you in terms of the divine energies and what resonates the most with you in terms of the wounded energies. Again, create awareness around this so that you can begin to step up and step into that state of expansiveness. So let's start with the divine feminine. Well, and I've got notes here today just because there's so much that I want to share with you, and I won't share it all here. Know that if you want the full episode, the full video that I did, it's in the group Leadership CEOs, and I have that link in the description or in the show notes for you. So you can access it at any time and just take it all in for absolutely no cost. It's free to you. So the divine feminine energy, okay? So, and again, I'm going to refer to it as she and he, but again, there is no gender around this, okay? It's just what it is. So the divine feminine is really creative. She's open. She's trusting. She's playful. She's got a strong emotional intelligence. She's magnetic. She's loving. She's nurturing. She's assertive, compassionate, empathetic. She can be vulnerable and be okay with that. She's authentic and confident. She picks her heart over her mind. She is giving. There's really an unconditional love that comes from her. And she can give that unconditional love while truly standing in her power, which is so powerful. Now, you can think of the divine energy as more like the ocean. It's just, it's that free flowing. That feminine energy is all about receiving. It's all about being. And so if you missed my episode on receiving, you're going to want to make sure you catch that, okay? Because in that one, I talked about how you are blocking your flow of receiving. And when you block that, you're really blocking the feminine energy. So think of the divine feminine is really that ocean. She's in, she's out, she's fluid, she's flowing. She just really taps into those things, that creativity that just fuels her soul, okay? Then we have the divine masculine. The divine masculine is very logical, very analytical, disciplined, focused, honest, accountable, responsible. He's strong, intelligent defender, decisive, efficient, goal-orientated, really wants freedom. The masculine energy really wants freedom. He wants to grow from a challenge, likes to be kind of like on that edge, very practical, a good provider, organizer, has integrity. And when I mentioned freedom, like he wants that freedom because even that layer underneath is that he wants to be released from the pressure so that he can experience the freedom. So when you look at what I shared with you, again, like I hope you have a notebook or making notes someplace here, like what resonated with you in terms of the divine feminine and what resonated with you in terms of the divine masculine. Now, not only is there duality between masculine and feminine, there's duality between divine and wounded. So again, when you know these states, it makes it so much more powerful for you and allows you to show up in just a different kind of energy. So when you are tapping into the wounded feminine, she's insecure. She's needy, manipulative. She's always looking for external validation. She feels unappreciated. She is powerless, likes to play the martyr, the superhero. She's afraid of loss. She's very attached. She likes to create, but then destroy. And a lot of times, and this was me for sure, that being in that pattern of creating, destroying, and being so attached to that outcome that just perpetuating that pattern over and over again. She sacrifices herself, prioritizes others over herself, and she does it at her expense, right? So she is not being fueled in any way through this. She feels like a victim. There's no boundaries. There's self-sabotage and just self-destruction. And so that comes from a wounded energy. Now, the wounded masculine is just trying to get its way at all costs. Doesn't care what will happen, what will stand in the way. Very attached to success, avoids connection, needs to be right, fears failure. There's a deep sense of unworthiness. And I think that one could even trickle over to the feminine energy as well. Very critical, judgmental, controlling, like all up here, stuck in the head, right? There's anger, there's blaming, shaming, just very rigid. So what I want to ask you is, like, where are you wounded? And you may have to pause this and rewind it a little bit and kind of allow yourself to hear this a couple times. But to say you're never wounded is a sign that you're wounded, right? Like, so allow yourself to be vulnerable, to be in a space where you're starting to identify, oh my gosh, like, why am I showing up in this state? Why am I so attached to the outcome? Where does that woundedness come from? So for me, when I looked at this, like, it was very clear that I was wounded actually in both energies, which, like, I had no idea, right? And the one thing that I've alluded to in a different episode was what I call moms, the maxed out mom syndrome. And that is that state of having to play superhero, right? Like, you put on the cape, you put on the mask, and you go and you do all and be all, and you fly in and just save the day, right? And that's actually coming from a wounded state, because when we do that over and over and over again, we're serving everybody else but us. So that, and when we do that, is what leads to the maxed out mom syndrome. That's what I call it. Within there, the wounded feminine, there's also a lot of passive aggressiveness. And again, like, all these energies, they're neither good nor bad, so don't judge them. Just create awareness around them. Create awareness so that you know, okay, I'm in my wounded state. Now what? Now what do I want to do? Or perhaps I want to go deeper into that and figure out, where is that coming from? And how can I clear that? Now, it's so important that you are surrounding yourself with people that get it, okay? So again, this work is all your own, but it's not meant to do alone. The soul work is the most important work. So back to where I was talking about, like, I felt wounded in both energies for sure. Like, control was a huge thing for me. And that desire, that need to have to be right. But so crazy, because there was just that fear of failure, and that even that fear of success would kind of pop in there, because you were so attached to the outcome, so attached to success, and just being controlling, that it just didn't work. Now, when I really got this and understood it, does it mean that it's all gone? No, it doesn't. It doesn't happen overnight too. You don't clear this overnight. But again, to have that awareness and be able to really look at, okay, why am I showing up this way, and what do I want to do about it? Because that wounded state is really unhealthy. That wounded state comes from fear. It comes from the ego. It comes from darkness. It comes from pain. It's really that conditioning, the modern style of life, right? Like that, when we can stay in our fearful state, we can never tap into the higher levels of energy. So I really want you to think about that, okay? Also within that wounded are where a lot of our resentments show up, our judgments, our limiting beliefs, our perfectionism. When we're in that wounded state, it's also that inner critic, that vicious voice that sits on our shoulders and just chirps really loud. And, it can come from anywhere. Like, this wounded state can come from people that we grew up with. It could come from friends, family, churches, teachers, anybody like that we've become, we were surrounded with. It can come from any of this. So what happens is we eventually kind of put on that mask, and we try not to confront any of this. And when we're triggered by something, we react to it really quickly, instead of responding and really looking at it. And I want you to know, like, if you go into that reaction state and because there's a trigger there, it's really a sign that you're wounded. Okay. Now, what you have to realize is it's not your fault that you're wounded, right? And it doesn't support you to blame anybody in your past for the wounded state, because whoever that person was that came in contact with you thought that they were doing the best that they could at the time. But it's our responsibility to really bring that wounded spot, that wounded part of us, to heal it, to shine a light on it, to like pretend you're in an auditorium with it and bring it up on stage and shine the spotlight on it so that it will dissolve, so that it will like transform itself into more divine energy, because your divine energy is what is going to serve you so much more. Now, as I mentioned, I got notes here, so I want to turn the page. But when I looked at the energies, I really thought that like masculine, like I was masculine energy, like that was my dominant. And what I realized was I was really, my core energy was really a feminine energy, but yet I denied it because like I didn't get it. This wasn't the way that I remember in my past. So it was that masculine drive of, you know, goals and focused and organization and going for it, and that piece that then became wounded of trying to control the outcome and trying to be right and all of that. And just again, all of that just leads to a state of overwhelm. It leads to a state of being maxed out. If you're a mom and you watch this, some of this can be reinforced as you become a mom and take on new roles. But really what happens is that we then operate from a wounded masculine. So I really want you to think about some different areas of your life. And I'm just going to rattle them off. And I want you to think about, are you operating in those areas from a wounded state or from a divine state? And really be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself, and where do you see yourself right now, and where do you see yourself going? So if you have a business, what is your relationship with your business? What is your relationship with money? Is it wounded? Is it divine? What is your relationship with your career, your work, your kids, your marriage, your health, your relationships? Like, think about all of that. And think about what energy you are showing up in all those areas. Because when your divine, when your energies are not healthy, it really is self-sabotaging you. It's disrupting your balance. It's taking you out of flow. It's taking you out of alignment. And if you truly want to tap into your truest self and really make that impact and really bring that vision that you know is calling you, you have to heal these spots. And heal is all about from the inside out. Health, when you look at the word health, heal plus TH. Heal from the inside out. Now, you might think, like, how am I going to do that? Like, what should I do? Well, you want to make sure that you start to step into your empowered masculine energy and your empowered feminine energy. And I went into that in detail in the full episode. So if you want access to that, look in the description or in the show notes, and you'll be able to see exactly where that is. And you can just fast forward through all this and get to the end, where I share exactly how to become more empowered in your masculine energy and more empowered in your feminine energy. Now, just real quickly, I want to leave you with some tips, just 3 simple tips, because this energy, it may have, now that you have this awareness, you may be like, okay, yeah, that's me. Oh my gosh, that's me. Oh yeah, I get it. Like, now what do I do, right? So the first thing is that awareness, right? You have to be aware of when you are showing up in your divine energy and when you are showing up in your wounded energy, regardless if it's feminine or masculine. You want to look at where you are showing up in your feminine and where you are showing up in your masculine, and look for any patterns that are happening there. So it's awareness. Second thing is you want to shed light on those wounds. And I referenced it before. You are the only one in the auditorium with your wounds. Bring them up on stage one at a time. Shine the spotlight on them and let them dissolve. Don't run from them. Allow yourself to feel them and then allow them to dissolve or transform that energy into something that is more divine. Okay, this is not about shining the light and quick brushing it under the rug. That's not going to work. You're going to stay in your wounded state. Allow yourself to express whatever feelings there are around that. Allow yourself to really get into a peaceful state and just see it objectively without any judgment. Now, again, this can be challenging when you're so close, which is why it's really important that you want to work with a coach or a mentor, or surround yourself with a group of people that really get this and understand this. Okay, don't go and share this with anybody. Like, don't share, because not everybody will get it. Not everybody is at the vibrational energy level that you are. Okay. So the first thing is awareness. Your second thing, shed the light on it in the auditorium. And 3 is take action. You have to take action into what you truly want. And so if you're in a wounded state and you haven't really tapped into, let's say you're in wounded feminine and you haven't really tapped into your divine feminine, well, go back into that list and what could you do that would really allow you to step into that divine energy? Is it something creative? Could you create? Could you simply just take out a coloring book and markers and just color? Right? Is it making something, cooking something? Whatever it is for you, but you have to take action on something. Okay? You can't just sit there and be in a state of inaction. And again, the best ways to do that is to make sure that you surround yourself with the right people, get a coach, get a mentor, whoever can support you in your journey, because it's not meant to do alone. Okay? So that was kind of it for today, that whole duality, that whole balance between the masculine and the feminine energy, but we disrupt that balance when we are in such wounded states. So it's really important that we understand where we are coming from, where we are, and really bring that back into balance. And just know that I did dive deeper into like how you get into that empowered feminine energy and the empowered masculine energy in the video that I did in the Facebook group, Leadership CEOs. And if you want to be part of that, we would welcome you. We would love to have you just hang out with other high vibrational, heart-centered women that really want to challenge the modern style of life and really bring their vision to the world. So that is it for today. What are you taking away? What's resonating with you? Drop me a comment. Send me a message. Let me know how I can support you on your journey, because as I said before, it isn't meant to venture alone. So that is it for today. How will you lead your ship? How will you be a creator of expansive opportunities? That is the question that I'm ending with today, but here's what I know. You were meant for more, period. Now go fly your ship. Stay tuned and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye. Hey, it's Michelle. If you got value from this, I would be so grateful if you would share this message with a girlfriend, a teammate, a coworker, a neighbor, a sister, someone that is ready to lead her ship and become a creator of expansive opportunities. Because after all, you were made for more. We were made for more, and we're in this together. Fly your ship.